Hello everyone, my name is Ross Carnick and this is Tom Watton. We are the founders and creators of the Total Drive ADI management system. And today what we want to do is run you through the system and give you an idea of the features, how it works and the benefits to you as driving instructors. So let's start first of all talking about our business and where we've come from. We started working together many years ago, and together we've been creating websites, apps and software for the past 17 years. In that time we've developed a great deal of knowledge of a number of industries, and we look after a number of driving schools. And we wanted to create something for one of the industries that we look after, and hence we started looking at different options, and one of the ones we came up was driving schools. So a couple of years ago we started developing the app system, which is now known as Total Drive. The system is built entirely by us, in-house, by our developers, both the website and the app itself. Tom tends to look after technical side of things for the app. I tend to look after web and marketing information. The app itself is developed using a system called React Native. Now, React Native was developed by Facebook themselves many years ago. And React Native is also used by massive companies like Airbnb, the likes of Wix, Facebook obviously, Instagram. So it's a well-used and well-supported system. React Native has a great deal of benefits to it, one of which is that we can react to changes required by customers very, very quickly. So if you want something changed on the system, or if you want something added or a new feature, then if we feel like it's worthwhile for everyone, which often they are, then we can actually implement that very quickly, not only because the system is using React Native, but because we develop the system in-house ourselves. So we don't use any subcontractors, which is a really important thing. Now the system itself is hosted on state-of-the-art fast servers based in the UK with military-grade encryption. The system is backed up 3 times a day. We keep backups for 30 days, and we also duplicate those backups on a separate server elsewhere to maintain the data should it get lost on one server. So your data is first of all very secure, and it's also very safe. So what I'd like to do now is go on to the actual system itself and show you some of the features and the benefits of Total Drive and what it can do for you as a driving instructor.
So to get started, if you don't have Total Drive currently, you need to start with going to our website. So just go to Total Drive and click Start Your Trial. You'll need to type in your driving school name and your full name, your mobile number and your email address, and then a password to set up. You can either choose a generic one or you can add one yourself. Make sure you check the box at the bottom and follow the instructions, and then finally get started. It'll take a little while, so just be patient while it sets the system up for you. And you'll get a text message to your mobile phone with your unique PIN and all the details of what to do next. So this is the text message you'll receive. Gives you all the details you need to download the app onto your phone. So welcome to Total Drive, your PIN number which you need to remember, and obviously the username and password that you set up during the initial process. So we're going to click on the link. So once we're on the website, we can then click on the icon that represents our phone. Now I'm using an Android here, so I'm going to click on this one, and I've already downloaded it, so I'm going to click open. But if you haven't downloaded it, you just click install. I'm going to open it. The first thing I get up is the Total Drive access screen, where I put in the PIN number that I mentioned just a few moments ago. My PIN number was 9259, if you remember. Click continue, and my username was my email address and my password. And what it does, it takes me straight into my diary. So you can see that I've already added a couple of lessons here just to show you what they look like, and I can go through my diary and showing all the lessons that I've got for each day. And the diary can be changed for the view, so you can either have a day view, which is what we're on at the moment, a 3-day view, a 5-day or a 7-day view, whichever you want that's best for you. It's very easy to add a lesson. You just click on the plus sign up here. You can either add a lesson, a gap or an unavailability, and I'll go through each one of these. If we choose lesson to start off with, we choose a student to add a lesson for. We choose the date that that person is going to have a lesson. We choose the time of the lesson. And these elements might look slightly different on an iOS device, but essentially it's the same process. We choose how long the lesson is going to be. It's going to be an hour lesson. And we decide how many days or weeks we want to repeat it for if we do, or whether it's a one-off lesson. In this case, we're going to say it's a one-off lesson. So in a manual drive car, it's a lesson, and we've got the optional pickup locations. And these can be added in the back end of our system. So in the administration area, you can add to these. You can add your own personal ones if you want to, or you can just leave them blank for now. Click Save, and that lesson then will go into your diary for the day that you've chosen. And there it is. We can also add gaps. So let's say that Jim here cancelled that appointment on the coming up Wednesday. So we can delete that appointment. What we can do instead is we can add a gap in there. Might have a full diary around it, and we don't want to lose that space and just be sitting around. So we can say, well, let's pop that in as a gap. So we knew it was at 11 o'clock, and we know it was a manual. It was a 60-minute lesson. So we pop in that gap. And now we've got a gap. Now, having added that gap to the system will automatically send a message to all of your students telling them that you've got a gap available. And that often prompts them to book. What we're finding is that a lot of our instructors are easily paying for the cost of the subscription, which is £10 a month, just in filling gaps that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to fill by using this system. So it's a really useful feature. We've also got the ability to add an unavailability. So it could be that you're doing something private on Friday the 14th and it's an all-day thing. So you're going to block out from 9 in the morning and you're going to block that right out until 6 in the evening. And you can either write some notes in there, so you can say that it's a holiday day or whatever it is. And then if you go forward to that day, you can see that that's blocked out. And you can block out just short periods of time as well if you've got a meeting or have an appointment with a dentist, something like that. So moving on from the diary, the students area, this allows you to add a student. You just literally type in their first name, their last name and their mobile number, and you can offer to send these login details to them via SMS. And that first SMS is free of charge. Further SMS messages that you send can be bought, but the system has the ability to work with push notifications. Push notifications are completely free. They're like text messages, and it will send them a message, link to download the app and their login details. So once we've got a student added, you get a number of different things. You get the view of the lessons that they've got booked in advance. You can have a view of what payments they've made and what lessons they've got available coming up, how much credit they've got. You've also got a progress area which allows you to update their progress after each lesson. So it's very easy just clicking on each of the progress areas and having completed the progress log after each lesson. If you save it, that progress will be sent as a message to your students telling them that their progress has been updated and they can log into their app and view the progress and the information where they are so far. You've also got their profile area. This allows you to send an in-app message, which, as I said earlier, is completely free. You can also send SMS messages, but again, you would need to buy a SMS pack from the web administration area. You can also call the student directly through the app, and you can also edit areas of their profile. So if they change their telephone number, you can also add in their date of birth and license number. You can also reset the student's password. That needs to happen from time to time. It's a very simple process. You simply hit the reset student button, type in the password that you want to give them or one that they've asked you to add, and click submit. You can also have a look at the student's details as a summary just by clicking the details option here. In this area, it gives you the information they've added to the system. So this is the reflective log to review reflective logs that have been created by the student. So moving on to the money side of things, the app also allows you to track and add your expenses, your income, and also any mileage you've taken and that you've added to the system. This is your inbox. This will show you any messages that you've received from your students. So finally, the profile area. The profile area allows you to see what driving tests that you've got upcoming, and also your past tests that have been taken. You can use the system to send an app push notification free of charge to everyone on your list, all your active students. You've also got the app terms of use. You can obviously change your own password, and of course you can log out. So when a student uses the app, they use exactly the same app, they download the same app, they simply choose student rather than instructor. Remember, your PTD code is 9259 that we set up earlier, so that's the same code for the students as it is for you. They type in their mobile number to log in. And the first thing they have to do when they log in is they have to agree to the terms. They can read the terms, and these terms can be changed by you. We've got some standard terms in there which you can leave, but you may decide that you wish to add in your own specific terms that you've created for your business, and you can do that again through the admin area, which I'll show you in a minute. We'll click agree, and then that logs them into their system. And you can see it's slightly different to the instructor side of things. They've got their lessons, so they can have a view of the lessons that they've got booked and what lessons have happened in the past. And you can notice again that they've got the credit information available, what they've got booked, how many hours they have available, and they can look at all the different pickup locations. And you can see here that this is where they can reflect on their lessons, and they can also look at their past lessons. The other thing they can do is view their progress, so the progress that you previously updated, if you remember, and they can see an overall summary of where they are. You've also got the ability to look at all the lessons that have been paid for so far, what's been paid and when, any messages that has been received from yourself, and you can see that we've got one here from earlier where the lesson has been updated with the progress and they received a message saying progress planner have been updated. You can change this custom message here. This is a standard message. You can see that it starts with fantastic lesson today, so you could change that to well done on your lesson today, something like that. So then moving forward, they can see what gaps are available, and you can see here these are the gaps that we added earlier, and they can very quickly and easily book these. Once they've done that, it's completely booked. Very, very easy for them to book and great for you to get those bookings in. You've also got a guides area, and you can customize these, so you can add your own links in here. It might be that you have your own guides that you want to offer to your students, and these links can be put in here and they can go to external websites or your own website. And then finally we've got our profile. If we click on profile, again, just like the instructor, they can do similar things. They can edit it, they can call you just like you can call them, they can send a message, they can see your terms and conditions, they can view the app terms of use, and again, if they wish to, they can log out. So that's the student app. So what we're going to do now is have a look at the website administration area and look at how that's used. And you can do this on an iPad, or you can do it on a laptop or a desktop computer. This can also be quite a useful thing to use if you're using an iPad in the car rather than your phone. This displays really well on an iPad, but at the moment the view you're seeing now is on a laptop computer. So to log into the web administration area, you simply go to totaldrive.app/login, and that brings you to this screen here. And then, as usual, you would type in your 4-digit passcode. If you remember, ours was 9259. You click sign in, and then you use exactly the same sign in as you've used on your app. So if you remember, the username you set up was your email address. You click remember me for next time, and then click sign in. The first thing you see on the dashboard is a bit of analysis and information about your business as a whole. So you can see how many students you've got, if you've got any on a waiting list, how many tests you've got booked, what payments are due, next lesson you've got booked, so how many of your students have got their future lessons booked, which is a useful statistic to see what kind of rebooking rate you've got, your pass rate after you've used the system for a little while, how many cancelled lessons you've had, and then it gives you a weekly analysis as well, how many lessons are booked, how many delivered, and how many are cancelled. And again, you can see what theory test options you've got as well, so you can see how many theory tests from your students have been booked, which ones have passed, and how many students you've got that don't have theory tests booked at the moment. So pretty much everything that you can do on the app, you can also do on the system here. Some of it looks a little bit different. There's also other features as well. I'll go through the extra features first. Now the first instance is under my account. So first of all, you've got some marketing material. You can add this video to your website or your Facebook page to encourage students to download the app. And there's also a number of banners that we've made available to you that you can use on your website, again, to show potential students that you do have an app. And quite often we're finding that instructors are telling us that students chose them because they actually are providing an app to them to use, because whilst some of your students aren't going to be young, a lot of them are, and a lot of them like the fact that you've got a modern bit of technology. Down here we've got a chat feature. If you've got a very quick question that you want to ask, you can quickly send a message through to us and we'll receive that and get back to you. Also under my account, you've got your subscription area. Once you've passed your free trial, you can choose which subscription you want. If you're still a bit concerned you've got more than 6 instructors, then give us a call or send us an email. And to subscribe, you just literally click on any of these and it'll take you to Go Cardless, where you can set up a regular direct debit. So the next area on here is a bit of a user guide. This gives you some videos on using the system, and you've also got your profile area, which allows you to make some changes. So you can choose a default view for your calendar, you can choose the default vehicle type, you can choose whether you need more pupils or not. If you choose yes on that, we'll include you within our system, which allows us to put students in touch with you. We do get calls from students asking us if we have people using our system in certain areas, and we will put them in touch with you if you choose yes, you need more pupils. You can also choose your working hours, which sets up your diary for you. And then over here, back on the top right hand side, we've got the customize area. Now this allows you to do lots of different things. So first of all, you can add more instructors. So if you have more than one instructor than yourself, obviously you're the main admin, you can add other instructors to the system. Once you've added them and you've set up a password for them, you can set up their calendar views again for them, and you just need to let them know their username and their password, and they'll be able to log in, and they'll also see this system and have access to the app. They just won't have quite as much functionality as you do as the main admin. So in other words, they'll only be able to see their own diary and not everyone's diary, whereas you can see everyone's diary if you have more than one instructor. We can choose what happens with our reminders. So when lesson reminders are sent out, every time a lesson is booked, the app will send your students a reminder, and you can choose how quickly that comes in before their lesson. So either 24, 48 or 70 hours, 72 hours before their lesson. You can change the information that comes on the message. So the message itself will give them a reminder, the date and time of their lesson, and you can pop anything you want to the end of that. So in this case, the message would say, "Hi John, reminder of your lesson booked on the 13th of August at 10 a.m. Look forward to seeing you." So you can change what ends the message in this area here. Over here you've got your alerts, and you'll remember earlier we spoke about the progress message that gets sent out. So once you update a student's progress, they'll receive a message that says, "Fantastic lesson today, your progress has been updated." So you may want to change this to just simply, "Well done on your lesson today, your progress plan has been updated," and then that then becomes the default message that gets sent out to everyone. Ideally, these things need to be changed before you start using the app. When one of your students types into their own app that they've passed their theory test, it prompts the system to send them a message saying congratulations. And again, you can change that to anything you want. We've got a standard one in there that says that. So once you've saved that, they set up as standard. Go back over to the customized area. This area here allows you to add in locations. So as I said to you earlier, you may have specific areas that you work, or it could be that you've got very common universities and schools in your area that you could just list here to make it easy for you to just pick from a list. That gives you the option to add them here. And again, lesson types, we've got standard ones in here. It's either a lesson, it's a driving test that you'll book in, a mock test, pass plus refresher motorway. If you want to add to these, maybe that you do a trailer training, where you can add trailer training into here as well. So when you set up a lesson on your system for a student, you can choose that the type of lesson it is for that particular student. Keep on going down, we've got the syllabus, and you'll remember earlier again when we were looking at the instructor app that I said that you could change the progress. So you can see here that these are the standard DVSA points of reference, if you like. So whether they have been introduced to a particular driving process, whether they're under full instruction, prompted, whether they're doing pretty good and they very rarely need to be prompted, or whether they're completely independent. And those are the 5 stages that each particular syllabus part relates to. You've got your categories over here, and these are again the basic DVSLA ones. If you want to add in something specific to your area, you can add a new category. So you could say Branch Hill Junction is something that's a little bit dangerous, or it has a particular blind spot. So you could add that in and allow yourself to update the progress on that particular junction itself. It could be that you've got a category that says, let's say for in my case, Exeter. So I could add that as an overall category. And then within the syllabus itself, I can choose the category of Exeter, and I could put in here Branch Hill Junction. If that junction itself simply had one particular thing that I wanted to check for. Alternatively, if Branch Hill Junction it's in itself is its own category, because it has, let's say, 6 different things that you need to look out for, then we could choose that. We could say check blind spot. Add that. We could say, let's say there's a pedestrian junction on that particular junction as well. And let's say there's a school very close as well. And now within that particular area, a category, you can actually now set that as a skill to check each time you go out and you go to that junction, you can add a progress there. It may be that that particular junction is on a test route, so you want to add it because it's very unique to your area, and therefore it has to be within some of the things that you want to teach or certainly observe when they actually do it, in order that they do the right things on their test. You can also see under basic skills and all the different categories that you can add something if you want. So under basic skills, let's say you want to add your own one, and you want to say on the basic skills, mirror checking. You can just simply add that to the basic skills, and that then becomes a skill that is something that you check off on their progress after each lesson. We've then got reflective logs. Now your reflective logs here, this sets up the standard questions they get asked. Again, we've got some standard ones in here, but if you want to change these, then you can do. Remember, these become the default for every reflective log, so they need to be applicable anytime you do a reflective log. And as I said, these ones are perfectly good, but some instructors have chosen to change them to something very specific to them. Finally, we have lesson guides. Now remember, I showed you in the app that there was a resources area for students. This is where you add in your resources. Now it could be that you have a number of areas on your own personal website for your business, for your school, that gives them access to different learning resources. So it could be that you have a learning resource for your particular area that is fairly good. It could be that you have different help areas on your website, but you can put all of these in here. The important thing to remember is that any website that you link in here must be secure, so it must have an HTTPS, not just HTTP. In addition, if you want to, you can add in your Facebook page in here, your Instagram account, anything you want, as long as it's a secure web address. So that's the app resources. So then finally, we've got your calendar sync, and this is the information that you'll need in order to sync your calendar with either iOS or indeed with Google or your Mac if you've got a Mac. So you've got your Apple Sync up here. Each of them has a unique code that you need to use when you're setting it up, and there's instructions of what to do on your phone and iPad to set up your calendar sync. Now this is a one-way sync. So what that means is that the calendar from this system will sync to Google and the iOS diary, but if you add something to your Google or iOS diary, it won't sync back to our system. So it's a one-way sync from us to yours, and that's mentioned down here. And also, please be aware that it can take up to 12 hours on Google, particularly because Google restricts instant syncing. We can't do anything about that, so it can be up to 12 hours for lesson changes to show up on your Google Calendar. Don't feel you need to use those. They're there if you want them, but the calendar on the system is perfectly capable of being used as your only calendar, and it can be used offline as well, as we've said before. So that's the customize menu, everything in there. That allows you to customize the overall experience that you'll have within your app and your students will have within their app. So moving over to the left, we've seen the dashboard already. We've got a menu area here, which we can hide and just have icons to give you a bit more space, particularly useful if you're using an iPad. If you click that, it opens it up and it allows you to show the menu. You've got your student list, which is very similar to what you see on the app. You've got the ability to add a student here as well as your app. You can also add students to a waiting list, so you can click here, type in the details, add them to the waiting list, and then once they're ready to go, you can then just move them from the waiting list to active. You've also got a list of inactive students if you've made students inactive. So example for this one, I can click on this example. If I wish to, on this particular one, I can make this one inactive. And then if I go back and I click inactive, then it shows me the active. And I wish to restore this one. So let's say come back to you for Pass Plus or further lessons. you can simply restore them and carry on using their old details. We've then got your diary, and again this is similar as to what you see on your app. It's just a slightly bigger view. You can add your lessons, you can add your own availability and lessons in the same way that you did on the app. You can move forward and back through the system, and on this particular one you've got a month view, weekly, 5 or a day view. You've got the ability to print your diary if you want to, so you can print it out if you choose to, or indeed if you look on here this will take you to the page we saw before for syncing your diary. You can do everything you can here in the diary that you can on the app. You've also got your finances area. Again, this is a duplication of your app area. The difference with this one is that as well as being able to add income, expenses and mileage, you can view a summary. So this can be a summary for any particular time. You can choose the last financial year, this month, last month, or dates between two different dates. You can export your expenses as a CSV file, and that can be sent through to your accountant to do your accounts each year. And you've also got the ability, as I said before, to add new categories, whether they're an expense or an income category, and whether they can be claimed back through your personal expenses or not, so whether you can claim them against your tax liability. And then again, mileage works in the same way, but again you can have a view of all of your mileage over the year using this system, or indeed between particular dates, and you can have a look at how much personal and business mileage you've done. And obviously this is very much dependent on you adding that information each day through the app. It's not compulsory. If you wish to use it, obviously you can. We've then got lesson gaps. The lesson gaps area again is very similar to the diary. You can add a lesson gap, you can view the ones that you've got active, you can edit them or delete them, and this allows you to keep control of all the different gaps that you've got available. And you can do that for individual instructors. So if you're running a bigger school and you have a main admin area that controls lessons, so if a student phones up and you want to put them with a particular lesson, you can add them into that instructor's diary. Or indeed, if you want to add a gap for a particular instructor, you can do that in this area. And finally, this area shows you all the messages that you've received from students, and it also covers your announcements. So again, you've got your app announcements here. If you want to send a message to all of your students, you can do that here. If you want to send a message via text, you can do that here, but again you would need to buy a bundle. You can send that to all your students as well. So going back to the diary, if you happen to have another instructor here, a box here will come up which will allow you to choose and flick between instructors, and that's for schools that have more than one instructor. So that's an overview of the Total Drive administration area. This is an area that you won't use necessarily while you're out and about, but it's great for your weekly administration. And obviously this area needs to be visited as one of the first things that you do to set up your app for yourself and for your students to make sure it's all working correctly. And that's it. If you have any questions at all, please do call us. All our information is on our website for you to give us a call, or indeed, as I said earlier, you can use the area down here to communicate with us.
Thanks for watching, and we look forward to speaking to you soon if you have any questions.